All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're tackling a question that every single developer hits eventually. You've built this awesome Express app, it's got all this cool logic, but how does it actually remember anything?
Right? Without a database, your app basically has amnesia. Sure, it can handle requests, do its thing, but poof, as soon as it's done, that information is gone forever. It needs a trusty sidekick, a partner in crime to store and retrieve data. Okay, let's dive into this. So here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with the big dilemma. Then we'll meet our three main contenders, MongoDB, MySQL, and SQLite. And at the end, we'll have a final showdown to help you figure out which one is the right champion for your next project. So let's talk about this database dilemma. Picking a database isn't just a technical choice. It's like picking a personality for your application's data. And the very first choice you have to make is between two totally different philosophies. And this right here, this breaks it all down. On the left, you've got NoSQL. Think of it like a super flexible tote bag. You can just throw whatever you want in there, different shapes, different sizes of data, and your app code is responsible for making sense of it. On the right, you have SQL. That's more like a perfectly organized toolbox. Every tool has its specific slot, the rules are rigid, and the toolbox itself makes sure everything stays neat and tidy.
Okay, first up to the plate, we've got MongoDB. It's a huge player in the NoSQL world, and it's super popular with JavaScript developers because, honestly, it just feels natural. The magic phrase here, really, is JSON-like documents. If you've ever worked with a JavaScript object, with curly braces, keys, and values, then you're already halfway to understanding MongoDB. It just clicks.
So, getting Express and MongoDB to play nice is basically a three-step dance. We're going to look at the key code snippets for each step. Now, just a heads up, this explainer is all about the concepts. If you want to grab the full code examples to play with, I've dropped them all down in the description box for you. First things first, we use a super popular library called Mongoose. It's kind of like a translator between our app and MongoDB. We just use this one line, mongoose.connect, and give it a connection string. That string is just an address, telling our app exactly where to find the database and what it's called, in this case, MyDB.
Okay, so here's the interesting part. Since MongoDB is so flexible, we often add a little structure back in on our app side using a Mongoose schema. This is like a blueprint. It tells our Express app, hey, anytime we talk about a user, it should have a name, that's a string, and an age, that's a number.
And creating a new user? It's seriously intuitive. You just make a new instance based on our blueprint, and then you just call .save. It's clean, it's simple, and it almost reads like a plain English sentence.
All right, let's switch gears completely. Time to meet MySQL, an absolute titan from the world of SQL databases. With MySQL, structure isn't just a suggestion, it's the law.
And this is the key difference, right? With MySQL, the rules for your data, what a user looks like, what fields it has, those rules live inside the database itself, not just in your application code. So, the steps might look kind of the same on the surface, but trust me, how we do them is totally different. Let's see what that looks like in practice. To connect, we use a library like MySQL too, but notice, instead of just a simple string, we're passing a whole object with a host, a user, a password. Why? Because MySQL is usually running as its own separate secure server, and we need the secret handshake to get in.
And boom, this is the big pivot. We are not defining a schema in our JavaScript code anymore. Nope. Instead, we run a raw SQL command directly on the database beforehand to create our users table. This sets the rules in stone, right inside the database.
So now you can't just call a simple .save method. You have to speak the database's native language, and that language is SQL. You have to build a query, a direct command like insert into users, and then pass your data along with it. It's like you're giving the database a direct order.
All right, on to our final contender, SQL. I like to think of this one as the scrappy, lightweight hero for smaller projects, or for when you just don't want the hassle of a big database server.
Honestly, the only phrase you need to remember here is single file. There's no separate software to install, no background service to run. Your entire database, the tables, the data, everything is just one single file sitting right there in your project folder. How cool is that?
And we're back to that familiar pattern again. SQLite basically gives you the best of both worlds, the power and structure of SQL, but with the dead simple setup of just working with a local file.
Connecting is, and I'm not kidding, as simple as it gets. You just import the library and tell it the name of the file you want to use. If that file doesn't exist, it'll just
created for you. That's it. You're in.
And inserting data? Well, it should look pretty familiar by now. Just like with MySQL, we're writing standard SQL commands. We write our insert statement, pass in the data, and this time we're using the .run method from the SQLite 3 library.
All right, the auditions are over. We've seen the flexible document keeper, the strict table master, and the lightweight file hero. So the big question is, how do you actually choose your champion? Let's put them all side by side.
Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet. You've got MongoDB, which is amazing for getting started fast or when your data structure might change a lot. Then there's MySQL, the heavyweight champ for big, serious applications where data integrity is absolutely critical. And finally, SQLite, the undisputed king of simplicity, perfect for small projects, testing, or just local development on your own machine. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that there is no single best database. It's a myth. The only thing that matters is picking the best tool for the job you're trying to do. Are you building a quick prototype, a huge enterprise system, or a simple little tool? The right answer completely depends on your project's needs. The choice is now yours. Thanks for hanging out for this explainer.